Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Got it.
Got it.
We're
Got it.
live.
We're live. Oh no.
Oh, were you about to?
No, I had to burp.
Oh,
Like
okay.
right
Okay.
when we
It's
started.
funny how that's acceptable, and and the opposite is not acceptable.
The yawning.
Well, not the opposite. The opposite would be a fart, probably. But I was talking about a yawn because these days yawns are
Yawns are
get called out
criminal.
for yawns on this podcast. Yeah, better not
I
get
might
caught
be
yawning
sneezing.
on the mic.
I have been sneezing all
Sneezing?
day. Yeah.
Okay. It's been freaking
Because
raining all day over here. Raining all night. There was like flash floods and stuff.
dang. Well, it's just spring is sprung out here and I'm not taking allergy medicine because I'm just gonna be here for a couple weeks, so um gives me the sneezes.
Hmm.
God damn it.
You should have found a way to like resist it a little bit. Like I just
I know.
yawned halfway, but I kind of controlled my mouth so that I didn't like just accept it. You know.
That's what I've been doing in the most recent things, kind of. But because I yawn like 50 times in the episode, people just don't know it.
They just
Uh,
can't catch it.
yeah. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing very well. New week. I did my first. I say first show of the season. I did that show back in March, but Spring Pottery Fair this past weekend with the Clay Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very wet morning. It didn't start out the greatest because I got up, got ready. I got up a little bit later, but got out to my car, and my car wouldn't start. It's like,
No.
oh my gosh, worst nightmare. Um, Luckily everything was packed and good to go, and I just happened to go out because I was still waiting on Rachel to finish getting ready, and I happened to go out and try starting it. It didn't hurt anything. I was thinking, okay, let me just start it, get it going, and then it just
Yeah.
did click, 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 and I was like, fuck. And then I was like, click, 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 fuck. And then I was freaking out, thinking I was gonna have to move everything from the one vehicle to the other vehicle and shrink down my product. And um, I just quickly got the keys for the other car and had jumper cables and all that. Jumped it. I think that's the very first time I've ever jumped a car, actually. So luckily had the
Jesus
jumper cables with the
Christ.
instructions on it, with the order of operations of which one to put it on first and all that. And
I jumped a
let
car
it.
when I was like 15. like,
I don't know. Well, I mean, we always had AAA too, so
yeah.
I don't know that I've ever needed to use AAA for a battery that's dead, but I've used them for flat tires and things like that before. But
Yeah.
but yeah, jumped it, had it connected for I don't know 3 or 4 minutes. Jumped it. I got there in plenty of time. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was because Rachel was with me as well that we got it set up super quick, super efficient. We were done setting up by 9:20. It didn't even start till 10. I think we left the house at 8:15.
Oh,
So
wow.
like it was so fast. I don't know. It felt like time slowed down once we got there, and we were just working on really efficiently when we were setting up and getting things ready. But there was some help and whatnot, like helping us get our stuff out of the vehicle and whatnot too. So I mean, I was able to start it up just fine at the end of the day. So no issues once we got it started up that first time. And the show happened. It rained the first hour and a half of it, so not the
Jeez.
greatest, but I guess if it's gonna rain any time of it, I would prefer it to rain at the beginning because I don't know. Well, I mean, raining at the end is probably not too bad because a lot of people kind of tail off the last hour, but
Yeah.
it was pretty good. So it picked up at around noon, and sales were good. I sold about $400 less than last year. I think it was around 1900
It was
for
just
the
one
day.
day.
One day, 10 to 4.
I couldn't remember
Pretty
if it
good.
was a 2 day or a 1 day.
Yeah, just the one day. And it's the one that's all potter, so it's 45 potters from the clay lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got a variety of skill sets from barely new potters that it could have been their very first show. It could be there's quite a few people that don't sell at a lot of shows, and that could be their only show they do the whole year.
Like the mushroom
David Mill,
man.
the one that makes the little mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
We got another mushroom. He didn't sell out this year, but we got another mushroom, and Rachel got some for family as a gift. So we, yeah. So there's a good assortment of newer, more veteran. There's people that do it full time. There's people that do it on the side. I would say most of them kind of do it on the side, or they do it in retirement. So there's a good mixture of ages and how what people are in it for and how much they make. So yeah, I think everybody generally had good sales, but it was lower than last year. But some of that's the weather, some of that's economy and spending and all that kind of thing. So I was pretty happy with it. I got another show this weekend. It's the one up in the. Did you ever do the one that you did the off market, right? Up in the park that was kind of windy. You did that one time, I think. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'm up on the concrete area, pavilion area that's not around the loop, so
That's
I
where
think
I
that's
was.
kind of where you were the very first time. Hopefully it's well attended from there. I think people generally make the whole loop and hit those areas, so hopefully it's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what to expect. I haven't sold in those very much the last few years. I usually do about one a year at the off market. I'm doing this month and next month actually, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. Hopefully weather's better than this this past weekend, but
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too bad. So that's what's up with me. What's up with you? What's new?
Well, I'm at my parents' house in Berthoud, Colorado. Um, we've had some very mild days with just 55-mile-an-hour winds, and
Is that common?
yeah, yeah, it is actually. Unfortunately, it is. I would never do shows in Colorado. Never, ever, 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 ever. Like outdoor shows, I would never.
Well, you
Anyway,
said they're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Is it because there's a lot of plains where you're at and it's
yeah, I guess, but everywhere it's like this. So it like hits the mountains and then it comes down the mountains and it's just like it just goes, man. So, the first night I forgot that it was going to be windy and then I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, fuck. And so I got out and the hammock was already blown over, which was great, because then it didn't fly away. And then, like, I got all the things that I needed to get, put them in the van, and then rolled the van up to my parents' driveway. And so then I was, like, nose into the wind. And
you're not
it's...
on their driveway normally?
No, the driveway's a little slanted. I was out in the pasture where it was, like, nice and beautiful. It had a good view. but like, even on the driveway, nose into the wind, with the house blocking me, I felt like my entire van was going to topple over. It was awful. New hate unlocked, sleeping in a van while it's windy. So
Okay.
that's
You're talking
happened.
about not liking the rain pouring while it's a bad storm outside, but wind worse than heavy rain?
Yeah.
Or is rain just
Well,
annoying?
I don't know. Both of them keep you stuck in the van. Both of them have really like loud noises. I would say wind's worse than rain because wind has the potential to rip things off of the top of the van. Like
Mm,
it's got more like
yeah.
damage potential. So anyway, I went to Liz Cohen's studio yesterday and packed up like 40 packages. There was a few that I couldn't send out,
Sweet.
but I should be sending them out tomorrow and the next day. And I yeah, so that was good. Good to see
So does that
Liz.
mean you're basically done with the pre-orders of the Dominoes?
Yeah, there's just one domino that I had to refire because
Mm.
I lost it. I have no idea where it went.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
One domino.
one
Shit.
domino. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Anyway, so that's in the kiln. The singular domino is in the kiln. And but so yep, that and then oh, I have to tell you a funny story. So, well, kind of funny. My father, I've kind of talked about him, but he is my dad is turning 69 this year. He is like a sweet old man, and he grew up pretty poor, so he has this like food saving mentality that none of the rest of the family has. And
Hmm.
they have 4 freezers, and
Oh my gosh, four?
four,
Wow.
and
Like deep freezers, I'm guessing, right?
like one that's like this one that's like its own freezer that's the size of a refrigerator, like a big refrigerator, and then the old fridge freezer that we used to have in the old house that's like the up and like your style, like the up and down half,
Mm-hmm.
where the whole left side is the freezer, whole right side is the fridge, and then a chest freezer, and then the freezer in the
Oh my gosh.
it's a lot. So my dad, like asked me to help him go through it because he like goes through it every now and then and like throws stuff out and
Cycles things
yeah.
and all that.
Um, would you like to hear the oldest thing that I found today? You want to guess?
Just by year? Or the
Yeah.
item?
Yes, and it was actually in the refrigerator, not the freezer.
Their regular refrigerator?
No, the garage fridge.
The secondary one. Okay. I'm gonna guess 2015.
2016.
Oh my gosh. What was it?
It
Was it
was
a
so
jar of pickles or
it's
something
a
like that?
salad dressing.
Mm.
So, but
Yikes.
he's getting so much better. I'm very proud of him because in years past, if I had been like, okay, what's the date that we're like, if it's before that date, we're throwing it away, he would have been,
No matter what it is.
no matter what it is, he would have been like, nope, we're not doing that. And today we settled on 2022 because technically in the freezer, pretty much it is indefinite if it's like sealed properly, if it's frozen.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing in this freezer is sealed properly. So,
Oh, see, I would think you were saying he was getting new stuff and freezing it, not like like it's already vacuum sealed or like it's meant for the freezer. I thought that's kind of what you meant, but it sounds like it's like things that are normally refrigerated that he's freezing. He's deep freezing or something.
yeah, yeah. So like, I think he got some food for Dot next door from the food bank, and he kept some of the like sandwich meat, and there's a bunch of sandwich meat in the freezer, and then
Oh,
there's there was like there was sausage, like breakfast sausage from Hayes Market, and like kielbasa and stuff like that that was just in like the styrofoam and then
the
the plastic wrap.
vacuum, yeah.
It wasn't vacuum sealed. It was just plastic wrap, and I was like, I'm throwing
Well,
it
yeah,
away.
yeah, yeah. Just the seal. Yeah, that's a very thin wrap. So,
I was like, these are going in the trash right now. Um, it's so funny. I love him to death.
Ugh.
And what's even funnier is that like he had some pickles, and this is not really that big of an issue. Like, uh, he he had a huge jar of pickles, and because it was too big, he didn't want to put it into the refrigerator after he opened it. So he just opened it, and then he just left the pickles in on the counter opened, and then when he wanted to use the pickles, he would take the pickles out and like cut them up and put them in a container in the fridge. And And on the pickle jar it says refrigerate after opening, and and like so he was like, "Oh, I forgot the pickles," and
But
I
wait,
try.
so he was leaving them out because they just wouldn't fit in the fridge?
I think he just didn't want to put them in the fridge, and so they've been like out for like 3 months, and
But you said the top is off too. Is that what you
no,
said?
it's on, it's off, it's just open. Um,
Oh, okay.
it's
I
like
got
popped,
you.
the seal's popped, and so
Right.
yeah, it's just so funny. And like we were at Bible study, and my parents have Bible study every Sunday, and it's like 12 people, and he's like, I forgot the pickles, and my mom is like, my mom is like, Jerry, haven't you left those pickles out for quite a while? And so like nobody ate the pickles except for him and Uncle Jim. But I tried the pickle
What
and it
would
wasn't that great.
Oh, okay. I was gonna
So
say, how sick would a pickle make you if it's bad? Like,
I don't
it's
know.
already
I mean,
vinegary and
I
pickled, so
ate
I
part
don't.
of it. It didn't make me sick. It hasn't made him sick. He's been eating them. Oh, everybody has a parent like this, like, or has a grandparent. Like, everybody has somebody in their life
Yep.
like this.
Our grandparents, my
Yeah,
grandparents are like that. We had to clean out their pantry, and you get the jars of soup or whatever, and they're, you know, 10 years old, and you're like, what the hell? But I mean, it's in the back. You never get to it.
yeah,
You always have those plans that maybe we'll get this, if it's a box of cake mix or something, it's probably not that big of a deal, but
yeah,
you know, cans
yeah.
of beans or
Honestly,
whatever is like,
yeah. He's done a lot better over the years. You know, it used to be worse. We used to have 6 months of food in our basement.
yeah. And
Cause
did you cycle through it and do the
yeah,
rotating and all that stuff?
we would cycle, but yeah, he's a doomsday prepper. So
I
I
had like
couldn't
an
say
urge
he's
for
a
that a little bit earlier this year, and I was thinking, where would we store it and what would I need, like necessity? But I'm like, would I be happy cycling it if I did have to eat it? But that's the thing. A lot of these things that can be preserved, you wouldn't really eat on a regular basis.
yeah.
So if you had to eat them in desperation, then mostly likely you're just going to throw them away. So
I think I would just probably stick to spam and rice. You know, spam, rice, and beans. Dry beans,
yeah.
dry rice, and spam.
I mean, I guess if it gets close to expiration, you could always donate it. If you know you're not going to do it,
Or you could
you're
eat
going to
it.
eat it. Well, yeah, you can eat it, but if it's a whole tray of, 20 cans of beans or something.
Do you know how many bags of charcoal my dad has in the garage?
Charcoal doesn't go bad though, right? You just
Do you know when he bought it?
probably 10 years
No,
ago,
guess. No.
20 years ago.
Y2K.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's the
He's
best.
just got big bags of, the I don't even know, the Kingsford or whatever.
The charquettes or whatever they're called.
It probably looks kind of cool. It probably looks kind of vintage, the logos and stuff on it.
I don't know. They're bags. They look normal. Maybe they're new. Who knows? I don't know. It's always an adventure coming here. I will tell you this. If ever I need a pan or any kitchen utensil, I don't have to go shopping for it. I can just find it in my dad's garage. Oh no.
You cut out, so I didn't exactly hear what you said.
Okay, well, I said, if ever I need a kitchen utensil or a pan, all I have to do is go shopping in my dad's garage.
Kitchen utensil or a pan. Nice.
Mhm.
Because they have excess.
Yeah.
There
Yep.
you go. Does he have excess firewood too? Do y'all have
No.
firewood stacked up all the time? And
Nope.
no?
That is one thing that he won't do. I think that's why he has the charcoal.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's there's something behind that charcoal burns hotter and longer or something. I don't know.
Or it's just a lot easier.
Yeah, probably it takes up less space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway. The tales of the Otis family. It's fantastic.
And you're there another 10 days, it sounds like, right?
Yeah. My dad's birthday is May 18th, so I wanted to stay for that. So.
Okay. Sweet.
And I'm here for Mother's Day. I'm getting a double dip.
Yeah, they're going to love that.
I think my mom
And you and your sister are the only ones there? Your brother's not going to be there, right?
Right, and my uncle's here. I think my mom gets a little overwhelmed with something out of the ordinary, but my dad likes it, so.
What out of the ordinary?
Another human.
Oh. Even though you're not staying in the house, you're probably coming and going, however. You know, like, hey, Mom, we should go hang out and shop today.
No. We try not to leave. She likes to stay in.
Yeah. Did you get to use the hot tub today?
Yeah.
Or the
not
swim
today.
spa?
I'm going to go after this.
Okay.
Yeah. You're burning up on
Can't hold you
swim
up too
spa time.
much. You got to get that swim spa time.
Yeah.
I know.
And last night it was very chilly.
Is it?
And we pumped up the heat tonight, so it's going to be nice and warm.
Oh. Is it clear enough where you can see the stars and everything? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Also, Deidre's birthday is tomorrow, and I think that we need to. If you're listening,
It is
to
tomorrow.
this,
I just forgot. I just looked at the thing. I was like, oh shit! I just forgot.
You can't say that. You're on live podcast. Anyway,
Well,
if
it's
you're
fine if she knows that I almost forgot.
if you're listening to this on Saturday and you've had any communications with Deech, shoot her a late happy birthday.
This isn't going out this Saturday.
Oh fuck! You're right. Never mind.
This is going out like when you're leaving Colorado.
You're right.
This is probably going to be out on the 18th.
Well, you can mumble under your breath.
They wish her a happy
to
late
my
birthday.
father. Yeah. There you go.
I think I just heard his name earlier. I don't know that you told me. Have you told me his name before? You said Jerry, right?
No, it's Terry.
Terry. Okay, Terry. Terry Otis.
Terry and Mary Ann Otis. Okay, well, we can't have that much of a pause.
All right. Well, your screen is fidgeting, so I don't know if you're saying something and it's cutting out or what.
I'm turning off my screen. Okay, so...
Okay. You sound pretty good now.
Okay, perfect. Also, I am out in the boonies, so our internet is a little whacked. So, okay, anyway, moving on. Oh, actually, I wanted to tell everybody that I have figured out the speedball jingle. And, oh no, you're gone too. Ryan, are you there?
That was me. I did that on purpose because you were jumping again. You're like skittish.
Oh, okay. I have figured out the speedball jingle, and I will tell it to you at the end. But I wanted to tell you the song that it came from now, and then we'll get into our speedball happenings.
Yeah. Is there actually a name to that song?
I don't know, but there's 3 of the songs, or maybe 2 of the songs. Yeah. So it goes LOLLIPOP spells lollipop, lollipop. It's the only decent kind of candy, candy. The guy that made it must have been a dandy, dandy. LOLLIPOPUC. It's something on a stick and it's bound to make you sick. It's lollipop for me. And then there is an addition to that song that says, "Oh, I never suck on a lemon. Oh, I never suck on a lemon drop on a lemon." Wait. Nope, I forgot it.
Well, I don't know it, so I can't challenge you and say that's not right.
Anyway, there's another song that's the same song, but it spells castor oil. I don't know where it came from. My mom used to sing it to us when we were little. So, anyway, here's our new Speedball jingle. SPEEDBALL, Speedball, Speedball. We're working on it still. But we're still working on the timing and how I want to, like, I'm sure it'll evolve. But that's where we're at. Okay, anyway, right on. I finally asked for some Speedball square bats today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. Pretty stoked about it. One of my friends says that her Speedball bats are, like, literally the only bats she'll ever use. They're the square ones. They're, like, her favorite bats.
Yeah, I use those the most anyways. For my stuff, because everything else that I throw that doesn't go on a bat is pretty much all just picked up right off the wheel. So I like to throw with a 14-inch bat for those pieces, a Speedball 14-inch one.
Yeah.
But if I'm throwing any spoon rests or bowls or most things like that, then I'm going to use the square ones, just because they fit on a board more easily and I can really get those numbers up.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that their colors for the Speedball bats are, like, pretty, like, they're super bright, and you can tell that Speedball is just very focused on color, which is part of my favorite part about them. And, like, how their underglazes are so, like, pigmented, and they're, like, so bright and colorful. They're so great. And the new formula is just freaking amazing.
Yeah. I had a question for the new formula ones, or just in general the colors. Is there a color, we already talked about our favorite one last week, favorite colors. Is there one that surprised you or you didn't expect to like, but you like more than you anticipated?
Oh. Do you have an answer for that while I think?
Yeah, so I'm generally a blue and green fan, but I would say the Carmine is one that I really do like. It's not a bright red, it's kind of a little darker red.
Yeah. It is a good color.
And that would probably be my preferred, or my, like, surprise color, because I'm not generally a red person. But
see, I think my surprise color was sea blue for me, because I generally am not a blue person, but I really like that blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, sea blue's your favorite, and sea blue's your surprising winner.
No, sea blue's not my favorite.
Well, you said you really love sea blue last week.
I do, but the yellow's my favorite.
The regular yellow or the saffron yellow?
The saffron yellow and the mandarin orange.
Mandarin orange, yeah.
I don't know what I said last week. Now I feel like I am...
I think last week you said sea blue because I said teal, and then I was kind of saying I was between teal and sea blue, and you said, well, I'm going to go sea blue because I really love that color.
Huh. Well, maybe I said that. Well, maybe that's both then.
Nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Mine was between the Carmine and the Aqua, but I feel like the Aqua's still green. I'm still kind of a green fan, and it's not that big of a...
I do like the Aqua, though.
A jump.
Yeah.
Nice.
I love that their regular yellow, I feel, is just as bright as, like, the super bright yellow from the other brands.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really nice.
And it probably doesn't stink, right? At least I don't think it
God, I don't
stinks.
think so. It hasn't stunk to me yet.
I don't think so either. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do find myself going to the saffron over the regular yellow more,
Mhm.
just because it's less bold. But
Yeah.
I do like the yellow.
Yeah, and I really like how like clear glazes cover it quite well. Like as
Hmm.
long as you have the right thickness, as is any clear glaze, it they look really lovely. I uh like in the old formula, I did have one issue with like the white and a clear glaze, but the new formula it's totally fine. Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've had issues in the past. Just I believe it was a combination of the underglaze being too thick and then some of the clear glaze being too thick. But yeah, I mean the good thing is you don't really need that thick of a glaze if you're just using clear.
Yeah.
So going thinner is good. You could, I mean, they sell the clear glaze as well, so you could always use that, which is pretty watery. It's well, or no, I'll take that back. It's in the gallon, I think, is what I've got before. It looks like Pepto Bismol color,
Yeah.
pink, and but they said you can thin it out, so I've thinned it out before, and you dip it, and it's you can get that pretty thin.
Yeah, and they just look really, really lovely with clears, and like you could put stroking coats over them too. Like I have you done any tests with the new Speedball, uh, cone six glazes and the underglazes? Because I would really love to see how those go
Not yet,
together.
not yet, because I would have to paint on because it's a pint, so I'd have to paint on top of the underglazes, and with the carving, makes it a little challenging. But bless you.
I tried to mute it
Another
on
one?
my computer and I couldn't get there in time.
Not quick enough.
Yeah.
I haven't yet, but I have a feeling. I feel like I've only really tested three of them quite a bit. The Living Coral, Dragonstone, and Lavender Mist. I think the Lavender Mist would look really good with some of
The
the underglaze
underglazes.
colors on
Yeah.
underneath it.
Uh yeah, I mean, what was your favorite of the high like mid-fire glazes?
I only did a lot of tests with those three, but I think I liked a little bit of variety. So I think the Dragonstone has a good potential because it can, when it's really thick, it can get, um, it almost looks kind of microcrystal-y, but
Mm.
it gets a little bit of texture and it's got like hints of red in it, like dark maroon almost, I think. And then it's like a light turquoise, which you wouldn't typically see the reds in oxidation, but somehow it's got those hints of red in it,
Nice.
especially when it's like really thick.
Yeah. I feel like Speedball is really stepping up their game and just like incorporating a lot of useful things recently. And it's been pretty fun to watch all the new stuff come out.
Yeah. Lots of options, lots of options. Yeah, there's more that I need to test on the mid-range glazes. I need to do some. Maybe Erica can help me a little bit with applying some. I usually do it on the shot glasses, so it's a manageable size and it's not using a ton of or not underglaze, but a ton of glaze, so that I can kind of see what it looks like on a pot before I apply it to a bigger pot,
Mm-hmm.
and just to kind of get a feel. And I'm more of a, I mean, if you didn't know this already, I'm a very slow and steady. I'm going to test it, do the combinations. I'm going to do it, Dragonstone first, Lavender Mist, and then do the opposite, Lavender Mist with Dragonstone, and kind of go that route to see all the different layering and figure out what looks good before. I'm not just going to throw stuff at a wall and see what happens.
I would have never guessed.
Never.
Never.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thunk? Well, you can get all of the Speedball stuff online. So I think, who's their main distributors? Blick is one of their main distributors.
Blick, Clay King, I'm sure there's some others. There's a number of distributors on their website of where you can find them.
Yep. And they even have so many wheels too. Clay King does, and you can get a really good deal on wheels there. So make sure you check out what Clay King has to offer, and Blick as far as speedball goes, and yeah, you can experience the lovely with SPEEDBALL speedball.
Love it.
Get it?
Love it.
Get it?
Okay.
Alrighty.
So we discovered that someone left us a review. We had a couple new reviews, but I also found one that was from Australia, which is not easy to come by because Apple Podcasts does not generally show reviews that are outside your country. So I found this one, and I wanted to read it because, let's see who sent it. Iona and Joe filled this out, and I wanted to thank them. So, all right. Autumn is so fucking annoying right now. Autumn, quit it. Gosh. All right. Title, like catching up with friends. I love this podcast. It's so real and unpretentious. I sit in my studio and listen to it while I'm working. I'm in Queensland, Australia, and I started pottery about 5 years ago and am hooked. Thanks to Becca and Ryan for sharing their knowledge so generously. A must listen to for potters.
Nice. Love it.
And that was all the way back in August of 23. But
oh wow,
thank you so much.
That was a while ago. If you would like to leave us a review, we'll read it. We haven't gotten very many reviews lately. So, you know,
yeah, the last one before that one was back in October.
Yeah, we have a brand new one on Apple to read next week, but yeah, we like reading the reviews, like, even if they're bad. You know?
Yeah, well, we have read those as well.
Yeah, so, you know, if you feel so inclined this week, it wouldn't suck. So,
yeah.
On to the question of the day. Not the whole day, but our listener question of the day. Okay, I'm going to read it. It is from Green Cabin Pottery, who we've actually had on the podcast. Cindy says, what do you do with oil bottles / soap dispensers that end up too narrow for the tops? Oil spouts, soap pumps, ? I think others should hear your response because it was a good one. Green Cabin Pottery. Oh my gosh, that response was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time. Yeah, so, I mean, the simplest answer is you can either use them as like a bud vase or, I don't generally sell them as bud vases because I don't sell a lot of those. So I find it easier to just put them in mystery boxes because people don't know what they're going to get. And then if I do happen to, more recently I did start getting some, Amazon has these, I want to say it's like an adapter almost. It's basically like an extender for your spout, the like rubber spout topper thing. Mm-hmm. So if your oil bottle opening tends to be too wide, you can put one of these inside the opening, and then you can put the traditional oil stopper inside that. So it basically gives you a buffer so that it will fit, but it's got an extra piece in there to help it be functional.
That's nice.
So I bought, I mean, you can't buy that many of them. I feel like I need to get some more of them just in case, but you know, you can get those. I would say with that on the market, it's easier to make that work if it's a little wider than if it's too narrow. If it's too narrow, you can't really do too much with it.
You could make it one of
I
those
think
diffusers, like you put the little reeds in it, in the oil, and it looks like an
Oh
air
yeah, that's not a
freshener.
bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I don't know how well do those work. Like we've had those before, but I feel like, or maybe it's one of those things where the recency of like when you first do it, it smells, but then once it's been around for a while, you don't smell it anymore
I don't know.
because you're familiar with it. But yeah, that's a good option too. And then if you do happen to, I've I've never actually ended up gluing the soap dispenser caps on there, where it's got, instead of the cork, it's got the male female two part with like the screw on, and then you would have to glue one of those pieces to the top of the bottle. But that would also be another consideration if your opening was too narrow and you couldn't fit the oil topper in there. So typically that has flexibility and doesn't have to be perfect, you know. So that's another option.
Yeah.
The fuck is this cat doing over here?
See, who's cussing on this freaking podcast? Not
That's
me.
Autumn. She's ripping through my Ran pack. Come here. Come here.
It's funny today, while he's taking care of Autumn.
Jeez.
Today, my sister sat next to Lloyd, who was basking in the sun on the couch, and she like tried to pet him, and he like turned away and walked away. And she was like, "Is there something wrong with his ears?" And I was like, "No, he just doesn't like you." And then I was like, and I was like, "Don't worry, it's not you." When my mom came down to sit, she like sat in the chairs, and he was sitting next to her in a chair. He got up immediately and just walked away. He's such a jerk.
Yeah, it's not like she's sitting there. I'm sure your mom wasn't trying to pet him either. She was probably just
she
sitting
just
there.
like walked up.
Oh my gosh.
Are you okay there?
She's not. She's trying to roll. I don't know what she's doing. She's hopped up on something.
Just let her be hopped
We'll
up.
deal with it. We'll deal with it.
It's gonna be fine.
All right, they can hear it. All right. What else is going on? Let's see. We've got some kiln stuff going on.
We got some kiln stuff going on. Me and Ryan are privileged enough to be able to receive one of the brand new plug and fire kilns from L&L. It is a 12.5 amp 120 volt kiln, and it can go all the way up to cone 10. It's 8 inches by 8 inches by 9 inches, and it's got a freaking Genesis controller.
Yep, it's got that mini Genesis on there, so
I don't know if it's that many.
they call it a Genesis Mini on here, but
Oh.
it's pretty sweet.
Maybe it is mini.
It's just like the other ones that they have that are with the electronic controller attached to the kilns. It's the same kind of interface as those that are Genesis, so
yeah.
it's pretty sweet. But this one's separate, so you can unplug it, you can travel with it, you can make sure it's safe and it's not gonna, you're not gonna kick it or bump it or whatever.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, I'm just so excited about this. Do you know what's crazy? Is that I realized, well, I was talking to a friend, and he was like, hey, instead of maybe powering that with solar, you could potentially power that with just like a suitcase generator that's like $500 and just fill it with gas. And yeah, I'm going to do that. Because
that's an option.
Yeah.
Would you use the generator for other things as well, or you're just...
Maybe, but probably not. But it would be cheaper than buying all the solar panels for it, But
Yeah, that's true.
because it really would be like $3 in gas, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm gonna do that this summer, and so I can fire it wherever I want.
That's pretty sweet.
Pretty stoked about it. Yeah. Yeah. So
All right.
if you are looking to get one of those kilns, which you definitely should be if you live in an apartment or a house that you rent and you're a little worried about a kiln, this is a perfect option for that. You can look on L&L's website, which is, Ryan?
Hotkilns.com.
And I believe you can pre-order it through Clay King and a few other distributors, but it does say on their website where you can get it. So, yeah, you should totally do that. P.S. It's $1,600 and worth every $1,600 and worth every penny.
Yeah.
Wow. Isaac Shu thought that I said it was $600, and I was like, no, sir. No.
$1,600.
Nothing is that cheap anymore. Thank you, though.
No.
For sure. Anyway.
Not quite. Not quite.
Go out and look at it. It's going to be great. So excited.
Plug it in fire.
Plug it fire.
All right. On to the topic for today.
Huzzah.
46 minutes in.
As we do. It's been I feel like it's been a slow day. Well, we can't see each other, so we can't anticipate movement. So there is that.
Yeah, I'm gonna try my video again. I don't know that it's gonna work. We'll see.
Okay.
Well, I'm flustered from Autumn too. She's stressing me out over here.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments. Okay, so
It's fine.
Ryan came up with tonight's
topic.
Yes.
Yeah, so the topic, I was kind of thinking about it recently, and we kind of touched on some of this last week. Well, this is going to be 2 weeks removed from the risk tolerance kind of episode. But it was basically, the gist of it is planning for a potential downturn in sales. So, it's an election year. It's also, the economy's a little bit more challenging. Disposable income's a little bit harder to come by. And we've had, a sample size of some sales that have been slower. You and I both have experienced some of that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, hey, how do we plan accordingly and try to look forward to what we can do about it?
Yeah.
So that we're not sidelined or, caught off guard.
Let's be clear, though. Some people are not seeing a downturn, which is freaking great. And we would like them to keep that way for as long as possible. We want everybody to make money, but I don't know about you, but I've been binging The Economy is Gonna Crash podcasts. So...
I don't know that you should tell people what those podcasts are, because it's probably not good. I don't know. I'm sure there's enough information out there of
Ryan has already
people hearing this.
My everything is going to die, I'm going to die situations this week. So, yeah.
Not you're going to die, but you're stressed about current status stressed. As well as what's gonna. Yeah, what the thing is, we can't predict anything, so it's the best you can do is be prepared and hopefully have some options so that you can adjust and you feel confident about what to do, rather than just throwing your hands up and saying, well, this isn't working, I have nothing to do, I have no options.
Right. Yeah. I think, can I say that what my first idea is that's really not really pottery related at all?
Sure.
So something that I'm doing to prepare for the eventual collapse is I
Have been prepping. You've been storing cases of
I've been storing
water and food
spam.
in your van.
No, no, I have been. So what I'm doing this week is I created a separate bank account that is through Vanguard, but I already have a bank account through Vanguard that has some investments in it, and but which is not needed. But I think that one of the things that has really been helpful in times that are financially tight for me is, first of all, prepping, right? So I'm saving as much money as I can right now, and I'm putting as much of it away as possible so that I can at least get a month ahead on the important expenses. For me, my van payment. So I'm putting like I pay like $1,000 on my van every month. So I'm putting like $1,000 in there today, and then when I get some more money in, I'll probably put another $1,000 in there if I can, you know, just so that I have like a couple months of cushion. And that way, if something happens, I still have that little bit of cushion that I can kind of rely on. It helps me breathe easier and just kind of, yeah, just kind of like releases the stress a little bit to have a little, like just a month ahead, even a month ahead, so that you can kind of plan
Yeah.
for it. And it's in a separate account too. So, if like that way you're like putting it away and you can't see it, and then you can transfer it to wherever you need it to be when the time comes.
Hmm. Yeah, that's kind of standard. Having an emergency fund to prep yourself for your monthly expenses if something were to happen, you get injured, or
Right.
for some reason you can't make your income and you need,
But it's not really like
you
a
know, for
full emergency fund. It's like a basic expenses emergency fund.
yeah. Well, I mean, for you, you don't have many expenses, but having your vehicle is your home as
Right.
well as your biggest expense monthly. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's very important to make sure that you cover that. If you don't, then you're screwed.
Right. It's like
So,
it would be like putting your mortgage or your rent payment away and at least have a month of that, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Or multiple months if you can.
If you
And so,
can.
so with that pool of money, would you put little by little more in there, or would you only do it in lump sums? Like you're talking about another 1,000 in there, but would you put $20 in there at a time, or
100%.
is that not moving the needle enough to
No,
be worth
I
it?
will definitely be putting little by little.
Mm-hmm. Do you do that just based on feel, or is it percentages, or?
I do it on feel. Like whenever I have a few extra dollars, if I know something's coming out, you know, at a certain time.
Yeah. Is that because we've talked in the past about you having those separate funds for Square? Is that similarly how you're treating those separate Square accounts, or is that more for taxes and such?
The Square accounts are for taxes, and we should tell people about that because that is also important to tell people about, especially in this type of time.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you want to tell them or do you want me to?
You can tell them because you've actually used it, and what
Okay.
you know. I don't know if it's called something special in Square or.
No, it's not. Well, it's just like Square savings account. So, Square has a separate savings account that you can use if you sell through Square, and it's under the balance tab, under like, you know, settings. It's
Mm,
under the balance tab, and it's all the way at the bottom, and you can apply for a savings account, and it will automatically withdraw a certain percentage out of your sales before it gives you the sales in out of, you know, before it actually deposits the sales into your bank account. And so like I have mine set up to withdraw, I think like 30%. I want to say it's like 20% for taxes and then like 10% for like a profit thing. And like what was really cool
mm-hmm.
last year is that I did that profit one and I was able to buy a camera for $1,300 and I didn't feel guilty about it. I Like, I just had the money, you know? And I
Right.
did no work. Well, I did work to do it, but I didn't, like, it didn't consciously, um,
It's one of those things where it comes out of your check before you see it in your bank account.
yeah,
So kind of out of sight, out of mind. It's not, you don't feel as much pain
yeah,
moving it once it's quote unquote like yours in your account.
right.
It's already set aside for you.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a pain to get to it, so you kind of forget about it, so you don't like you're not like, oh yeah, let me transfer this money out, you know, like you know,
Hmm.
but yeah. So if you are using Square and you have a hard time paying taxes at the end of the year or anything like that, I would definitely recommend you can make multiple separate accounts. So like I have one for 20% and I have one for 5%. And then I think I have another one. Oh, I have another one to pay my business insurance. And it's capped at a certain amount.
Mm.
So it's like capped at $500. And so it'll just stop
Mm.
adding into that so that next year when my business insurance comes around, I could just pay that. So,
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that you could put caps on it. That's pretty sweet.
yeah. So you can have like certain
So,
goals.
and then can you
right?
prioritize, or is it always percentaged out, or is it prioritized like I want to, pause this account from depositing more. I want to prioritize the insurance account first and put 20% into the insurance account and then 10% into this taxes account or whatever. And then you can
I
kind of
don't
build that up to its cap.
I don't know for sure. I'm gonna sign in really quick and tell you. But I'm gonna say
And if
you
you look on Square's
probably
website, it's
could.
called Square Savings. Square Savings, and then it says earn 1.75% APY, so average percentage yield with no monthly fees, or 1.75%. So 1.75% is way above like a savings account that you would have, so it's pretty good.
I lied. I can't look at Square because it uses the internet, and we're not at liberty to be able to use the internet right now. So
It actually has a pretty good demo on their website. If you're on the savings, it's got kind of a screen capture of how you do it. Sales tax, you can add money in there. Automated savings, what percentage you want to set aside for sales tax of all your credit card sales. And then you can say, okay, I want that target to be $10,000.
yep.
And then the automated savings happens.
So okay. So the insurance, the one that's capped, I do have it as a percentage. It's only 3% that it's pulling out, and so you could choose like a low percentage if you want or not. I think I'm probably going to up my profit to 5%, from 5% to 10% this year. But I don't know. But the total that I've saved that's like still in my account and I already paid off all my taxes and everything like that right now is $2,260. And that's like just sitting there, you know?
Yeah. When you were saying you set aside it for taxes, are you talking about sales tax or are you talking about income tax? Because you
I set it aside
currently,
for both.
okay, because you live in Tennessee technically, which doesn't have income tax.
Right, but I still have to pay federal.
But okay, there's no state income tax, but there's federal
And
income tax. I gotcha.
also when I started this account, I was in Indiana, who does take a lot of state taxes, so, you know.
Yeah, that's good that you can percentage it out and adjust it when you want.
Yeah. And it's good to have it there anyway, just as like an emergency, you know. It's a nice emergency.
And the benefit for you is you use Square at your point of sale. It shows, but you also had it with your website.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was one and the same kind of. Even if you weren't, oh well, I'm not doing any shows for 3 months, so that pot is kind of staying stagnant.
Yeah.
Because you're not using that, but I think that's a good option.
Yeah, so that's a really good option if you're like worried about money and you're not a good saver. So I'm not a good saver, so I have to make things work for me.
Yeah, I mean that's a. Did you actually know how much was in there until you just looked at it?
I knew about, yeah.
Yeah. See, I feel like that's like a little perk up that there's extra funds that you're not really accounting for and looking at one bank account.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully you all do have a separate bank account for your business so that you can, manage that and be able to pay your taxes out of it. You're not spending the money before you've got to pay those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what would get to this point of not choosing to pay those taxes when they're due, but I'm generally don't spend the money when it's not your you're going to owe money at the end of the year, so don't spend that money and take that money out when you know that you're going to have to pay it. And don't expect that future sales are going to happen to make up for it. I'm always like, I need to have that cash ready to pay those things, and I don't want to put that off because it's kind of like credit card debt. Like, I'm not going to put that off a month and expect that there's going to be money there, because there's no guarantee there's going to be future money to pay that down. Like, that's kind of the way I look at that stuff. But also, I'm in a spot where I've always had enough to cover those bills monthly. So, I don't know what I would do otherwise besides selling things or stopping, subscriptions or whatever that are not essential, I guess.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, some of the levers that
you've... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, some of the levers that you can adjust are, if you've been accustomed to paying more on something, let's say like my mortgage. Let's say my mortgage is $1,000. If I'm accustomed to paying $1,500 on it, I have that lever to adjust
Right.
when I need that money for other things. So if you learn to live on paying that mortgage for $1,500, then you can say, oh, well, I have an extra $500, like quote unquote extra, that is disposable income or income that can go elsewhere if you really need to shift it.
If you really need to, though. Like, if you're paying a debt down aggressively, I'm a fan of the snowball effect. So I pretty much always move whatever debt that I've just paid off to the next. But yeah, I think that it's like, Ryan, you're like a one.
What do you mean by that?
Well, okay, so like, let's say I have a student loan and I also have a car payment, and let's say I paid off my student loan and it was $500. I'm gonna move that $500 that I'm already spending to my car payment to pay it down faster. So, just because you're more comfortable with that payment, and I think that it's so easy to be like, oh, well, you're paying, like, I pay $400 extra on my car payment right now, right? And I don't make very much money. But I've chosen to commit to paying $1,200 to my car every single month, and that's going to knock my payment down to 4 years instead of 7, right? And, no, 6 years. 4 years instead of 6 years. And like, I know that I'm gonna turn into, like, financially, it's gonna hit some hard times this summer, just because of certain choices that I'm making, not even the economy. So I'm moving it down to 1,000, but that even feels, it almost feels to me like you're giving up on that, But so I'm like committing to.
I think understanding that it's temporary,
right,
is
and I'm
hopefully gives you.
I'm trying to make sure that extra $200 goes into investing, rather than the car payment. So, but I also think that, like, the way that you think about finances and like not spending money that you don't own, you're like the 1% of the type of people that, most people, I feel like, I could be wrong, but I feel like
You
most,
think that's a 1% thing? A lot of people spend money excessively that they don't actually have yet?
yes.
You think 99% of people do that?
I think that 90% of people do that.
I think it's less, but
But look at our credit card debt
I
in the
would
United
suspect
States.
one. I would suspect people that have other dependents and family, they don't they they're more conscious of not doing that
I guess, but like when it's a business and it's
because there's
taxes,
others that depend on them. There's more at risk.
yeah,
There's more people at risk in that situation.
that's true. But like when you have your own small business and there's taxes involved, that is a lot harder to manage. And I think that a lot of people aren't as organized as you in your brain and on paper to be able to like
Hmm.
compartmentalize that, you know? And so,
I mean, a lot of that is I don't rely on that money, right?
right,
I've I've been intentional about not putting so much pressure on needing to make that money
for
from the
sure,
small
for
business.
sure. But yeah, I mean, like it's just a good practice to if you are not that type of person, it's a good practice to find cheats, cheats in the system that will help you along the way.
I mean, some of that is built in where you know, your income tax, for instance, if you're expected to pay it quarterly, they have you pay it quarterly because I don't know if that's for their benefit or for your benefit, but it's kind of works both ways that they expect you to pay it quarterly because, you know, otherwise you're going to have a fat bill at the end of the year. And if there's a huge downturn, you're going to be in a worse spot if you owe
Right.
$12,000 rather than paying
Mm-hmm.
four payments of $3,000. You know, it's a bigger burden
Yeah.
in a lump sum like that.
But like that stuff, you know? I think that's what I'm trying to like
Well, I'm expected to pay that. My tax people they require me to pay it. The government requires me to pay it,
well
or else I'm building interest.
I know, but like I didn't know that you had to pay a quarterly tax. Like last year I was supposed to pay quarterly tax and I had no freaking idea because I don't have a tax man, you know? I do my taxes on TurboTax. And I mean like it was
Hmm.
fine. I didn't get a penalty because I paid it, but I did pay it on a credit card, which kind of sucked. But but like still, there's like certain things like if it's your first year of making a shit ton of money like in your small business and you've never had to pay quarterlies before, it's like a rude
Hmm.
awakening.
Oh yeah. I mean, I always assume that 25% of it's going to be for taxes. So,
Yeah.
um, you know, don't spend 25% of it. If you need to use that I mean, we're talking about Square Savings, that's a perfect way to do that. Or, you know, have a separate checking account that
Yeah.
you move money into.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Even if the checking account is in like how Chase shows you all of your accounts, even if it's in the same
Hmm.
business, that's fine too. Just transfer it out every month. Take a certain percentage of what you've made, transfer it out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things where you don't transact through that account. You only put money into it, and then the only time you pay out of it is when you pay your taxes, for
Yeah.
instance, you know,
Yeah.
because that's what it's for. So, are there other? I mean, the other things that I'm kind of thinking of that come to mind is, um, I don't know how prevalent this is of people purchasing equipment or buying
Mm.
things that you know, I tend to run equipment into the ground. I don't buy new things almost ever. Um, I'm speaking about the business here, but
Right.
you know, I tend to use what I have because I don't need anything else. And occasionally I will splurge on some things like, you know, kiln shelves or um, you know, I bought the L&L kiln once. So, you know, some of those things are really big one-time purchases, and I think my mentality in situations where I feel like there's uncertainty is I'm going to I'm going to tighten up as much as possible on the expense side if I can.
Mm-hmm.
I know some of it you can't help. Like, you can't help not paying booth fees. I don't know that it's smart to just stop doing a ton of shows, maybe. I mean, if you're good at shows and you expect shows to be a good return on investment for you, then, cutting that $400 show out may not be a smart move,
Right.
even though it feels like a big investment, but 3 or 4 months before the show happens when you don't have too much money to be going around. But new equipment or I think it's like taking care of the things that you have and just using what you need.
Right.
Because I mean, when you've got the major things like the wheel and the shelves and glazes and things like that, you shouldn't really need that many things. You just need the time to use them.
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with growth too. Like if you're in the beginning of doing pottery, you're obviously going to be spending a lot more money buying equipment than maybe if you're flatlining, you know? If you're in year 7, right? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but like there was a definite like switch when I moved to Indianapolis, and that was like, okay, I have everything I need. I don't need anything else. I don't need to buy anything. And
Mm-hmm.
my expenses went down significantly. Significantly. But it is hard. Like, you go to a pottery supply store and you're like, oh, I want to get that. Oh, I want to get that. I want to get that. But if you really need to, like, watch yourself, Like, go in with a plan.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure some of the thinking is, well, I need to add a new glaze to my collection, or I need to. I've been wanting to experiment with speedball underglazes, or test these other colors. Maybe I'll do a body of work in that. And if it's something completely different, but it's going to require you, I think more of that is a time commitment that's
Mm-hmm.
going to take away from the time you should be spending making things that have a more higher likelihood of selling.
Right.
And I mean, you've got to balance that and figure out what keeps you sane and enjoying what you're doing.
For sure.
But I think you need to also be aware that using your time efficiently and smartly is going to help your business when, for instance, if I go to a show and I sell 2 or 3 of these bottles in this certain color, and that's all of them that I have left. If it's going to take me 6 weeks to make more of them and I have a show in 2 weeks, I'm going to miss out on profit potential on this item that I know has a high likelihood of selling. So I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm planning accordingly. And it takes some data and some analysis to understand what's in demand, but you probably have an idea of some things that are popular enough that when you have them available, you're gonna likely sell some of them, if not all of them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way I think of how I'm gonna spend my time when I'm not sure where those sales are gonna come from. And I might be less likely to experiment like massively. I'm not gonna spend like a whole week experimenting with something brand new that I have no idea if it's gonna sell or not.
Right.
But
Now, what about this? What if you go to a show and let's say you bomb a show? Like, let's say the last show you did was $3,000. It was amazing. And then the next show you do is $500. What does the next week look like if you have a show the next week? Are you going to, like, take a break? Are you going to keep working? Are you...
you mean I got another show 1 week later after the
Yeah.
bomb?
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I can and I want to hustle it a little bit, I would shift gears to maybe making a few of those pieces available online that week if I can get some more sales to help make up for the sales that I did not get at the show. Maybe set aside a few of your favorite pieces that you have like I said again, a high probability of selling, whether it's online or in person. And I
Mm-hmm.
I would consider I see some people do that where they, Isaac just did this. He had his house show and he had some pieces left over and he put a bunch of them up on Monday. I I see that very common with people. I understand that it can be taxing and you're burned out. You're like, okay, I just had this failure, so I need to. I mean, I think you can take. For me, I would take like a day. Relax for a day and then get to it quickly after that.
Yeah, do
I
a
don't
story
need
sale.
multiple days, and I don't know that like it seems like it's just you're keeping yourself down if you sulk for multiple days. I don't, but I think you gotta shift gears quickly to hopefully make up for some of that, and then make sure you're as prepared as you possibly can for the show the following week.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of doing sales.
And maybe that's a big hustle to fit putting stuff online as well as preparing for your show the following week, but that's why I say start small, like put 10 pieces up, hopefully to get you from $500 to $750 or $1,000 if you sell those pieces within a week.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you a little bit.
Okay.
You went out for a second, I guess, though.
Okay. Sounds good. I was going to say, I'll probably edit the part where I was like talking over you out, but I was going to say that I'm a big fan of doing like story sales after like a bomb show. Definitely, it can definitely help.
Do you tell people that you had a bomb show?
No, not necessarily.
I mean, it's kind of like you don't want to do it for like a sympathy buy, but you're kind of saying, hey, these were left over from the show,
right?
And I would love for them to find new homes, kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be.
But it's not everything. I feel like if it's everything, it's kind of overwhelming for the customers, and they just pass right by it because they're like, I don't want to look at 20 things.
Right. I feel like I'd be like, hey, had a garbage show, so you guys get the pics, Like, that's probably how I would say it.
And some of it could be that it's not like the show was terrible. It could be the weather was
Right.
The weather was horrible, or
right. For sure.
Yeah, it feels pretty defeating when you get all of these items prepped and ready, and you're excited, and you do this show, and you hope that it turns out, and then it just flops because you're like, I was so prepared, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, for me, I just look at it like there's so many things that are out of my control. I can just show up and do my best and have a positive attitude, be very personable, don't wear my emotions on my sleeve if it is a bad day. And I try to block out as much as possible any variables that can cloud my judgment during that day. If it, a lot of times I'll turn my phone on do not disturb, so I don't see any Instagram messages. I don't see any text messages. I don't scroll on Instagram. I don't want anything to affect my mood during that day, so that I'm at my best and ready to, like, quote unquote perform for that show, because I'd been doing prep work, and that's, I build myself up to do that. So it's important to be present for that.
Yeah. And I've said this before and I'll say it again, but if you are the type of person that can't hide your emotions and you had something happen the morning of, you need to have a buddy that you can vomit all of your emotions onto via text so that you can get it out of the way. Like, I do that to Val. I will text her and I'll be like, I have to complain for a second right now, but this is everything that's going wrong today, and I am so frustrated. And then I'll be like, okay, great. Thanks for listening. I'm going to have a great day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to find somebody that you can just bleh everything to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my day could have turned out pretty shit on Saturday if I would have freaked out
Yeah.
from the car not starting.
Probably.
If I would have immediately jumped to, I'm moving everything together, like, okay, step back. What can I do? You can't call AAA. It's going to take them 45 minutes. I'm going to be late. If you take the other car, like, there's only so many options, and then you just got to, like, calm, collected, And if there's things I need to leave unread until I'm done with the show that day, like, I'll do that,
Yeah.
unless it's urgent emergency, I can wait. It can wait. So
For sure. For sure. Um, I was thinking about also like if you can find some sort of a passive type of revenue stream that people are more willing to buy in times of hardship, you know?
what would people be more willing to, is it if
Like
everybody else is still hard to spend money, how do you know that that's
I feel like
worth
education
your
is a
time?
is a good I'm going to start doing like educational videos. And I feel like education is always something that you can spend your money on even when times are rough, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, getting better at your craft, and I mean, what we're doing here, we're educating people on some of these different areas. Um, there's always more to learn, so I think there's always a thirst for that.
Yeah. What's the ultimate way to earn money when times are rough?
Get a second job. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Ding ding ding. We have a winner.
Or a third job.
Or a third job. Or a fifth job. Whatever.
Because there's always demand for a lot of different, let's say, service jobs or whatever. I mean, I feel like you could always make pizza somewhere,
Oh,
right?
you know that
I don't
did
know.
I tell you that pizza is the only thing that doesn't crash in the economy?
The only
One of the
thing?
only things that actually can survive like all economic downfalls is pizza. Yeah.
Really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I only know that because my friend owns a pizza place. But, like, yeah, it's definitely, people are more willing to spend their money on pizza than on, like, going out to, like, nice restaurants and stuff. So,
It's one of those things that's like a comfort food. You know what you're gonna
yeah.
get. You know you're gonna have lunch for the next day. It's like a good. I mean, it's terrible food for you, but it's a good investment in a way that your food's gonna be covered for the next 2 meals, maybe, and it's gonna be reasonably
Yeah,
priced.
so be a pizza delivery driver. So, I guess what I'm trying to say,
There's
like,
this
there's no shame in getting a second job
or a third
or a
job
fifth.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Zero
I was gonna
shame.
tell you there's this guy that I follow on Instagram. His name is Doe Toley.
Uh huh.
He's he works at Papa John's.
Oh,
I don't know if you've
I
seen his
think I
videos
have
before,
seen
but
him.
he makes the pizzas, and he always like has quotes that he's saying, and he's talking about how he's making the pizzas, and he's like, it's just you know what you're gonna get. He's making Papa John's pizzas, and it's just kind of soothing to see what he's doing, and he gets kind of inspirational in there, but he's just kind of talking, and then he's got his little quips that he does, like a second cup of cheese, and he's putting the nice juicy pepper in there, and signature garlic sauce, and yeah, he's just got these things, and it's funny, you know. But yeah, pizza in demand. It just looks soothing. Like I understand it's like it's probably pretty repetitive, but it seems I don't know. It seems like a job where you just I mean, I guess if you're in the kitchen making it, you're kind of working as an individual in a way, and you kind of got the orders coming in. You just follow the orders, like
Yeah.
for the right personality. I guess it seems like it would be kind
I
of.
mean, there's some asshole customers, obviously, but there's always those, regardless.
Hmm. Hopefully, somebody else answers the phone, but so much of it's automated nowadays that I would suspect it's just online orders coming in and you just fulfill the order. But
Lots of people still call.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Yeah, getting another job. Getting another job. I was kind of thinking about different selling avenues that
Yeah.
maybe. So I have a lot of like quote unquote levers that I can pull, right? I've got the shows I do consignment, I do wholesale, I do some commissions and online sales. So I think it for me it's nice to have those levers. It can be overwhelming when you have all the irons in the fire, but when you can pick and choose when to adjust those at certain times, I think it's nice to have those options. I think if I were in a spot where I didn't already work with any shops for wholesale or consignment, it would be tough to make those connections, especially now where it's, they're probably less likely to spend money. Customers are buying less, so them being willing to chance with new products, especially if they have to buy it wholesale with a new person that they're not familiar with, it's probably a little bit of too high of a risk for them. But if you already have established relationships with them and um, they're having success with certain forms, for instance, like I have a wholesaler that just reached out today and said, hey, they got oil bottles at the March show that I did, and she was like, hey, I'm just getting ahead of the game. I wanted to get this in your ear that I'd like 30 more oil bottles, and a lot of that is just having that good relationship with them so that when they're ready, they know that I can deliver, and it gives me kind of marching orders in a way of what I can be working on now if I have excess stock or if I'm not really sure what I need to be doing. It gives me kind of a something to focus on. Um, if a show, I didn't sell as many bottles at a show, for instance, or I've been, working hard on getting that stock up, I can, dedicate a big chunk of those to the wholesaler and deliver to them quicker. Um, so that's like something I've been thinking about in regards to just adjusting those different selling avenues when I can.
For sure. That is very important. Yeah. Oof.
There was also a at the show this weekend. So the show is right by one of the galleries I sell
Mm-hmm.
at, and the gallery owners and the staff always walk the show. So I was chatting with them for I don't know 5 or 10 minutes and just saying, hey, I haven't delivered as much items recently, and I was wondering what kind of forms or colors y'all would be interested in. So we kind of talked and settled on some favorites, and they got to see at the show like all of my stuff. So it was a good way for me to kind of bounce ideas with them for what I can take next. So that could be my next um my next batch of work that I dedicate some to that consignment shop. They sell decently, so I do have a lot of stock there already, but it would be nice to get a few pieces when I can afford to dedicate some of that inventory to them. Because let's say the sales go down at shows, I'm going to have excess inventory that I didn't have, that I wasn't expecting to have. So, if I can shift that inventory elsewhere that has another potential for selling, I don't think that's a bad use of my inventory. So
Yeah.
I am considering that as well. But I'm not dedicating like 50 pieces. I might be doing 25 pieces or 20 pieces. So I'm not going all in on consignment, but I am maybe putting a little more focus on it
Right.
for that shop. So,
I think that also, oh, dang it, I just had something in my brain. Ugh. What was it? No, no, no. Don't leave. Uh, uh, uh. I don't know what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Okay, I got it. It was advertising. I think that, the thing about recessions or downtimes or whatever is that there is always somebody in the United States, especially, that is still rich. And there's always a market for you. You just kind of have to find them. And I have had some good luck with some advertising recently, like doing ads on Instagram. I'm doing that for some classes. And, like, for instance, I had 17 people for my class with Sephora 3 days ago, and then I did 2 reels, and now I have 35. And that's $20 each person. So, like, advertising.
And I'm sure there's a variety of ways people are hearing about this. They're hearing about it from her. They're hearing about it from you. They're hearing about it through your ad that may not even know about you all. The podcast, we've talked about it at least once. It's going to come out again before your class. So it's kind of like you got to spread yourself pretty wide on the advertisement instead of expecting 1 or 2 ads to do the trick.
Right. And I think that if you're, like, struggling, like, advertising is actually a very valid, like, maybe instead of buying some piece of equipment that you need, you spend that money on advertising instead. And that would bring you more money than a potential piece of equipment that may not, So, yeah.
Because a lot of the ads, I mean, all you got to do for the advertising is cover the expense. If you cover the expense, it's a wash, right? I mean, and a lot of it, I mean, it's not like advertising firms you're going out and you have to commit to $500 or thousands of dollars. You can literally put an ad up for $5.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be crazy.
Exactly. Just consider it, because there is somebody out there willing to spend $50 on a mug. They might not be in your immediate reach, but they may be outside,
And there could be, I think there are also some people that are willing to buy when it's tough times because they want to support those businesses to keep them going.
Agreed.
Maybe they haven't showed support before because, they just haven't had the right piece come about, but maybe they're willing to spend now because they know that it's probably pretty tough out there right now. Kind of like when, during COVID, people threw a few extra bucks to, like, restaurants that were doing takeout only. You increase your tip a little bit more because you want to make sure they stick around. So I think people that do have money are willing to. You're going to get some new people that buy, that maybe had some money, but maybe they weren't planning on spending it or buying stuff, but maybe they buy a little bit extra than what they normally would because they want to make sure you stick around.
Right.
So
for sure. Yeah.
What about the shows? Like, would you? I mean, I've done a little bit of adjustment this year with some shows, but I've signed up for a few new ones. Some that I don't expect to get into, and then some that maybe I would be kind of on the fence about, or and maybe rekindling and trying again. That would typically be like a middle of the road show for me. And I'm willing to try some of them out so that I can give myself more opportunities to sell because I'm a little uncertain. So, I know you've been a little bit iffy on shows lately, but
I'm not doing shows this summer.
Have
Well, not.
How did you determine that? Was that a not getting enough return on them? Or worth your time, or
No, that was a Becca looked up shows to apply to and then forgot to apply and then just decided, you know what, fuck it. That's what happened.
I feel like you kind of said that before too.
And
you kind of said fuck it on the shows.
I did say fuck it on the shows. I've had such bad luck on shows recently, and I'm just so over it. So I'm gonna try a different avenue. And I'm actually going to sell online. Now that I have more space in my van to sell online, that'll be good. And, yeah. So
How are you structuring that selling online? How are you prioritizing it? Is it just setting goals for yourself, or is it a number, like quantity of uploading goals,
I'm
or
gonna
is
sell
it
30
return on like
pots a month.
sell or list?
So, well, list,
Sell.
I guess,
Okay.
list. 30 pots a month with the
Okay.
goal of selling
How did
all of
you
them.
determine 30? Was that based on the profit potential of how much that's worth?
No, that was based on it doesn't seem like too many and it doesn't seem like too little.
Okay.
It,
And when you say pots, you're talking about actual like thrown
yeah,
pots. You're not talking about earrings, like 10 sets of
right.
earrings and 10 pots and okay.
And I might add in fancy earrings because I got some silver stuff to do silver working. So I might add that in.
Mm, nice. How are you gonna make that the silver?
Oh, it's not that hard.
But do you have to have like a forge and stuff
No,
like
no,
that?
no, 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 no. It's just like soldering stuff together. You use like a
Oh,
crystal
okay.
torch. It's not that hard. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the online call out because it. I feel like it gets defeating when you put stuff up and they don't sell, but I think you kind of have to get that thick skin of
Yeah.
I know it's good for me in the long term to put that stuff up and keep going and keep mixing up. I mean, you do have to have a willingness to test different things out. Put different forms up, put different color glazes up. If,
Yeah.
mugs in a certain glaze always sell and you tend to get rid of them quickly, then try to do your best to get a few more of those up every now and then. Um, make note of which items are sitting longer
Right.
and maybe take them down and take notes on which ones do better. On Etsy, I just go to the sold tab. You can go to sold and just see which ones have previously found homes, and you can just use that as your data if you if you want something that you have a good feeling about.
Right. And something that I always do for like if you're doing consistent drops, so like something I used to do and I will continue to do is let's say I listed 30 things and all but 5 sold. And those 5 didn't sell until like the whole month, right? The next drop that I do, those 5 are getting a discount. Like they're going to be on sale. And then
mm,
all of the other pieces will be. There's nothing wrong with them. They're just going to be on sale because I want to sell them, you know? And 10 out of 10
right.
times they sell.
How long do you think it's worth discounting them before that 30-day window, or is
Nope,
it
I just do it on the drop.
okay? So because people are going to be coming to the shop that are looking for new stuff because you've probably advertised for
Yeah.
it, and then they'll see that there's some things that are a little bit cheaper and they look just as good, or oh, I just discovered I didn't realize she had stuff in there already,
Yeah.
so oh, they got a deal on it.
Yep.
I'm curious if you um would you consider taking, okay, let's say you sold 25 out of 30, would you consider putting 25 up next time
No.
so that you have a better, it's not a, I wonder if people like find success with that, because I wonder if it helps that you sell out. Is it like finding a sweet spot of selling out, or is
Oh,
that
maybe.
just, that's why I was thinking about it, because I'm like, is it going to be better for you demand wise and building urgency? But to a sense, in a way, you don't want to trick people. You don't want to be manipulating them of you need to buy it because this is all the stock I have. But
Right.
you were intentional with it. You only put 25 up because you wanted all of them to sell because you sold 25 last time.
That would be interesting.
Um,
I don't know. We'll have to do some
because I'm like, what if you did? Because
what if I did 20
I
instead of 30?
I don't Yeah. I do think there's a sweet spot because if you do too many, it get I don't know. I think seeing a full shop puts a certain feeling, but I don't know. I feel like if people like your work, they're gonna buy whatever. It gives them more options to pick from. But having the limited number and knowing that you're going to be updating it every month, I think it. I mean, as long as you're secure with the amount of money you're making from 20 pieces versus 25
Right.
pieces.
Well, just up the amount of money and make it the same.
You mean change your prices or just change the form so
Yeah,
that the
no,
total
change the prices.
revenue is.
Like, if you're selling out at 25, make sure that, like, if you sold 25 and you only put up 20, make sure that it is the same amount as 25.
But are you saying change the prices on the individual items or put more valuable pieces on there so that you can make the same amount of money?
Yeah, maybe put more valuable pieces. Like, yes, change the prices on the items, but, like, make sure they're worth the money, obviously. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was hoping you weren't saying like change the prices month to month because you want them to sell that.
No,
Like,
no. Like, make it worth the money, obviously,
yeah.
but, like, yeah.
I think it's good that you're also switching things up. Like you historically haven't made a lot of those, very painterly, kind of layered thumblers and whatnot that you put in there recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if doing kind of a cross section of different styles, or
Right, exactly.
if having individual styles is a good way of doing it. I personally like to mix up. I don't really change form styles, but I put different forms up, like a cross section of 75% mugs, 10%. Uh, I'm gonna do it with the soda pots. 75% mugs, 10% oil bottles, and 10% cups, and then 5% flasks or
Right.
something like that.
You know what? You know what's wild is that with that new painterly look, I could make mugs.
You could.
Did you hear the long pause, guys? Did you hear that whole long pause? That was like a holy shit. Becca might make mugs again.
The thing is with you, I never count you out for anything. I know you make very blunt statements that a lot of people feel like are black and white, but I realize that when you say it, there's a lot of gray in what you're saying,
sure.
because it just takes time. It takes time before you change your mind.
It does. Yeah, it takes time.
So
No,
mugs could happen,
I
and
stopped
and you
making
got to
mugs.
want to do it.
well,
If somebody asks you, you're like, nope, fuck it, I'm not doing
yeah,
that
I'm not
anymore.
doing that anymore. I stopped making mugs mostly because I was doing the sanding stuff, and I was just like, I can't do this. I can't sand these cups with handles, you know.
Yeah.
And
You know what I always think? I mention the mugs. I feel like it might be the return of the TPG mug. I don't know. I feel like committing to
TPG
5.
mug.
Can you commit to 5 mugs a month in that 30, or
You commit to 5 mugs.
4?
A month. I would make them really
5?
expensive. I should say, like, the handle is worth $50.
Like I think making it so. I think for you not getting burned out on making them. So if you just commit to 5, it's very reasonable. It's within your wheelhouse. I don't know that you necessarily need a damp box or anything like that for 5.
No,
It's not,
definitely no.
You're working fast enough. You can get them through. It's not going to be a space issue, I don't think, if you only make 5 and then kill
And they'd
them.
have to be thin because, like, you can only fit 3, but I could fit 1 with other cups. You know, the handle does get in the way, but yeah.
But you could probably easily put 3 in a kiln, but
Yeah.
maybe 4.
I could put like 2 mugs and 2 cups. That would fit perfect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it might be the The rebirth of the TPG mug.
I love that. And I could make sure that they're under 8 ounces.
Do people know what
I
TPG
don't
is?
know. Okay, TPG comes from an old friend, Veronica.
Was it Tried and True?
Yeah, Tried and True.
Or
It's Veronica, right?
Victoria, I think?
Victoria. Oh my gosh.
Victoria, yeah.
Tried and True, and she had a baby and hasn't been doing pottery, but
I was gonna say, I wonder what she's doing these days.
I know, but she had a second sale once, and she had this cute ass mug, and it was so little, and it was a second, and I was like, I want that mug, and so I bought it, and she goes, it's garbage. Like online, she was like, this is such garbage. And when I got the mug and I opened up the box, there was a note, like a card, and all it said was garbage. And it wasn't garbage. It, like, the glaze stuck to the shelf, and there was just like the tiniest glaze on the bottom, and she sanded it off anyway. And it was like the perfect tiny mug. And so when I posted it on Instagram, I said it's tiny perfect garbage, and thus the TPG mug became what it is today, a tiny perfect garbage mug. And so anything under 8 ounces is a TPG mug, essentially. Yeah.
Nice. I actually just went to her post. Her last post was on August of 2023. She said, I had another baby in May.
Wow.
Not doing pottery right now. That was in May of 2023. So
Damn.
she's been very...
She's been momming it up.
Yeah, so it seems like her youngest is now... If she hasn't had a third, her youngest is 1 as of May. So I just commented on it and said we just mentioned TPG mugs on Wheel Talk today and was thinking about you. Hope all is well.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah.
So we'll see if...
Let's see if she responds.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what TPG mugs, and we love them dearly. I'd probably make bigger than 8 ounce mugs, but not much. You know, there's something beautiful about a very.
You're not going to make ones
mug.
that you're not something that your mom would use, but
no. But did I tell you? I didn't tell you because I haven't heard from you. For all that is catching up on this story, I found a 32 ounce mug at a show in St. George, and it is super light, like so light that I think the water is gonna like break it from how heavy it is. And I gave it to my mom before Mother's Day because I can't wait, and she's in love with it. She loves it. She's
nice.
She's like, she explained to her whole Bible study that you can fit the entire French press in it.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
To be fair, she only drinks 1 cup of coffee a day. It like lasts her the whole day. So.
I mean, it's 32 ounces of. That's not 1 cup, but I mean.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, it takes her hours to finish this. Like.
Does she microwave it?
I don't know. I think she just drinks it cold once it gets cold.
Okay. The only thing I can drink cold like that is the flavored green tea. Like peach green tea.
Yeah.
It actually tastes good when it gets a little cold.
Yeah.
Or not. It doesn't taste better than when it's hot, but it still tastes good enough, you know.
Yeah. For sure. Well.
One last thing, I guess.
Okay.
It kind of relates to the wholesale consignment situation. Maybe your mailing list. I think, it doesn't cost us anything to communicate with others. So if you can spend your time, if you are struggling and you can spend your time following up with some shops that you maybe haven't talked to in a while, you only talk to them when they need stuff, maybe following up with them and just saying, hey, I'm just reaching out, hope you're doing well, wondering if you need any forms, if you're interested in restocking anything. Same with your wholesalers. I think that can go a long way and may give you some opportunities that you hadn't had prior. I think that's just a good practice anyways, especially, at the end of the year. I tend to, the last 2 or 3 years I've been sending them thank you cards at the end of the year, just to keep them on the radar. Like I got a message from one of my wholesalers that I haven't really talked to in like 9 months. They ordered some stuff last year, but I hadn't heard from them, and she just reached out to me like 2 days ago through a Facebook Messenger of all places, and was like, "Hey, I'm interested in getting some more mugs and oil bottles, and hoping you can accommodate." So, and I think I like to think that the thank you card at the holidays probably helped a little bit. Maybe it's just they didn't sell all of their stuff until just now,
Yeah.
and they're thinking of reordering. So it's one of those things that I think if you can be proactive and set aside some time to reach out, even if you got to reach out to one every week or something,
Or reach out to your
if you
customers too. I mean, not just your wholesalers. You use
yeah
your goddamn email
yeah that's why I said
list.
your mailing
Yeah.
list. Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, over communicate. If I think past customers are going to be the best source for getting that repeat
Agreed.
business. If it's easier to sell to a customer that's already got your stuff than to sell to a brand new person. So, lean on those people and letting them know what's up with you. Like, doing a quarterly newsletter or doing newsletters only when you put new stock in the shop is like, it feels a little too salesy. But, if you give a little bit more time and focus to crafting something that's important to you, letting them know what you've been doing lately, what your focus is. You're doing some new shows. It's challenging. If you've got some good news to share, if you've got, you know, if you're moving and you're excited about setting up your new studio, maybe talk about that. Like, we kind of assume that so many folks know what's going on with us because social media and we're so out there,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of things that people don't follow with you, and they can't, they get lost, and there's just so much to consume these days that, like, I think it gives that personal touch when you get, you get something that's not a sales email, so, and in effect that can spark something of, oh yeah, I've got a wedding coming up, like I need to get a gift. I think I love my piece from them. It could just spark something that makes them want to buy something, and it doesn't have to be a direct sales pitch,
For sure. For shizzle. I have one last thing
There's
to say.
shizzle. All right.
Sephora just texted me, and we have now sold 38 tickets.
Do you have that's great. Okay, so we are 1 week away. Do you have a goal
100.
in mind? Do you have a number in
100.
mind? 100.
Yeah.
All right, 100. Let's make it happen.
Get it.
This is going to be after the workshop, but
Yeah. And obviously,
we'll find
we won't
out
be
if
recording that night because it's a Wednesday, but
that's true. That's true.
Yep.
But hopefully we'll have good stories from it.
for sure.
I think you've definitely found this. I think the teaching for you lately has been. I mean, not just lately, but like you're kind of reinvigorating it a little bit more.
And learning how to advertise.
And
for
I think
it.
it's
That's really what's really happening.
yeah. And it seems like it's been. Is it more fun?
Yeah.
You advertising for these recently because it doesn't, maybe because it doesn't feel like all the work is on you.
Yeah.
Or
It's been fun advertising with
Yeah, that
Sephora
is
because
nice.
I can text her and be like, where are we at now? Like, what's going on? How many people have signed up? It's like, it's not a competition, but it's like, there's a finish line.
Yeah, and there's shared ownership
Yeah.
with it, so it, like, she wants you to have as many attendees just like you
Right.
want to have as many attendees,
Yeah.
because it benefits both of you. And I think it makes it fun to have a lot of people in there.
Agreed.
I mean, I had like 25 in my last one, but it was still, or maybe we hit 30, I don't know, but I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shoot for 100, but I think it's great that that's an option.
For sure. 100%.
And it doesn't take much, like you said, the advertising. You could just throw $10 at something, and if
Yeah.
you get an extra seat, that's $40.
I paid $20.
Pays for itself
$20
easily.
in advertising so far, and we've almost doubled. Well, we have doubled. So that was worth it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. If you want to go back and listen to that Will Donovan episode that we had talking about paid advertising. If you're thinking about that,
Go listen.
it was a good episode. It was worth the listen.
Woo.
That one is 233 with Will Donovan.
Yep. Cool. Do you have any last words?
All right. No last words.
Sweet.
Looking forward to it. Hopefully good sales ahead. We'll find out.
Huzzah.
All right. Thanks everybody for listening. We will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Hey everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Whale Talk Podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.